Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Craig Hensley.
And I'm Jenna Miller.
My wife and I would like to welcome you to our show, the Bohemian Victorians. And for those of you who are with us last week, welcome back. You'll see that we're in a different area. We're in the sitting room of our design studio. We like to move around the house. But we do have Coosa with us, our dear old Golden Retriever, who's very excited about the proceedings. Okay. Now, those of you who saw last week's episode, some of you pointed out that my red mug was a bit distracting, all the movement, I suppose. And you know what? We agree.
Yes.
We thought it'd be a fun subliminal message, keep calm and carry on. But yes, it needs to go. So without further ado, and with all dignity and respect, after only one episode, we are going to retire the red mug.
Adios.
Oh, and what was it that your brother would...
So my sister-in-law noticed the red mug on the last episode also, and she was mentioning it to my brother, and she was calling it a mug instead of a cup, and so my brother thought that she was referring to Craig's mug. And so they were kind of having this back and forth trying to figure out what mug they were talking about. I thought it was funny because it's kind of a who's on first scene.
Somebody didn't like my mug. Something about my mug. And also some of you noticed with a very sharp eye that the mug was not historically accurate, wasn't from the Victorian era. And you're right. But the purpose of our show is to bring elements of the Victorian era into our modern lives and to show you how we do that and see if maybe some of these things you would enjoy doing. We want to resurrect some of these elegant essences from the past, but we don't want to live in the past. You'll see as we, in our work and our lives, that we like to mix the old and the new.
That's right. And along those lines, on my blog, Threading the West, I recently published an article about that very thing. It's called Historical Accuracy and Little Ol' Me. And so if you want to read that, it tells you a little bit more about how we mix in the historic with the new.
And as an example of that, here is my replacement coffee mug, mixing the old and the new. Les Miserables, a Broadway musical that is beloved by millions across the world, across the globe, around the world. You know what I meant. Les Miserables is a show that I was fortunate enough to play the role of Montparnasse in the First National Company and the role of Enjolras in the Second National San Francisco Company. And Les Mis is based on a novel of the same name by the French author Victor Hugo. Now, Victor published his book. He wrote this in 1862, smack dab in the middle of the reign of Queen Victoria. See the tie-in there? Yep. And another tie-in is the Wild West. We have splashes of the Wild West in our work too.
Yes, we do. And a lot of the costume designing that I do is kind of more of the modern West and the wild Old West.
Yeah, because where we live in Tombstone, Arizona, the entire area is just rich with that history, the Victorian architecture, the style, the fashion.
Yes.
Because at same time period, it was imported directly across the pond to us here. So we really enjoy that. And speaking of the Wild West, we just finished a photo shoot here in the studio with a very Wild West theme, and we're going to show you some behind the scenes of that. But first, Jenna is going to take us on a tour of the studio and show you where all the magic, usually the magic happens often. Sometimes it's back to the drawing board.
Yes.
But let's take a look, shall we?
Yes, let's do it. So, welcome to our photography and design studio. This room here is something that we just recently transformed to use as an indoor photography studio. We did a lot of location shooting before, so we really needed an indoor space to work in. So we redid this room. It was a 1960s style room that we transformed. So it had this dark wood paneling all the way around and this really hideous red carpeting. So we stripped it all down, repainted, and now we're very excited to have this new space to work in. This rack here is just where I keep all the costumes that are up next for our future projects. So that way we can just grab them and go, and they're nice and handy right here. And then we have this screen here that we pull down for photography and videography. And since Craig is an actor, we video his film auditions right here. And then over here is the bathroom that's right off of the studio. I had to do a lot of refurbishing in there as well. And we've got a little sitting area. And as you can see, our dog Coosa is working very hard today. Very helpful. All right, now I'm going to show you the costume design area. Follow me. So this room here is my happy place. This is where I do all of my costume design work. And I construct them here, I design them here, and spend a lot of time in this room, very much so. And while we're in here, I just want to talk about a few little things that I think would be maybe helpful to some of you that sew out there. Just little things that I have discovered have really helped me here in my studio. And even though this is not a tutorial, I do want to go over these few points. So the first thing here is this flooring that is under my feet. This flooring has saved my back immensely. You know, as sewers, we stand at our cutting tables or our craft tables for long periods of time, and I had a bad back injury from a horse accident, and so I really needed something to stand on that was going to kind of give me a little bit of cushion, especially since I have cement floors in here. So it's just a foam, and it's really wonderful. So get some of that if you have a bad back. And then the other things I wanted to talk about is this is a grommet press and punch all in one, and that's very important. When I first started costuming years ago, I was actually, if you can believe this, I was actually punching and pressing all of my grommets for the corsets and stuff all by hand. And if you've ever done that before, it is incredibly tedious and very frustrating. And so I finally invested in getting one of these, and it has absolutely saved me. And it does beautiful work on these grommets. It's so easy to use. So make sure you get one of these. And when you get one, get the kind that the grommets themselves are sharp, and therefore they punch and go into the cloth all at the same time, because that's really important. And then the third thing I wanted to share with you is my stash of trims up here that are hanging from my ceiling. A friend of mine actually introduced me to this idea of hanging your trims up from the ceiling, and I thought it was just absolutely brilliant when she showed it to me, because it's so hard to organize trims because they get all bunched up and tangled, and if you put them in drawers or whatever, you can never find the trim that you're needing. So if you hang them from the ceiling, you can just find the one you want, and you just pull them down. So handy. So that's another thing I wanted to share with you. And then if you'll come over here, this little area here, I wanted to design this kind of with the idea of an old Victorian style store, like a little haberdashery. So that's kind of why I did it up this way. And these two gowns sitting here are part of my next big costuming project that I've been working on. It's called Victorian Orchards. And the idea behind these costumes is we're going to film this later on where we're going to get a bunch of our model friends together, and we're going to kind of recreate a picnic scene from the Victorian era. And so I really wanted to do like linens and bright neutral colors, just kind of like those old picnic scenes that you see in period dramas that are just so beautiful and striking. So that's what this project is, and I'll be posting some more on my blog about this project, and we'll have more of it in future videos as well. But that's what these are, and this hat also is part of that project. I've been working on some hats one at a time for this, and it's a lot of fun to me. I really enjoy this type of work. And this stash over here is actually all of the fabrics that are still waiting to be transformed into gowns for this project.
We are very fortunate to have had our dear friends Rob and Tiff Jensen come down and join us for the Wild West photo shoot that we're going to see some behind the scenes here. They were game to drive down from Tucson to observe the safety measures, to just light up our studio with their presence.
Yes.
Rob is a professional stunt coordinator for the film industry and a great entertainer in his own right. And his wife Tiff is a beautiful singer and also a wonderful entertainer. And we're just very glad to have them.
Yes, and we have had the pleasure of working with Rob and Tiff on multiple film projects at Old Tucson Studios, and it's always been wonderful to work with them.
We can't say enough about their talent, their hard work, and their professionalism, and we look forward to working with them quite a bit more. So let's take a look. Well, here we are, and as I promised you, we've got some behind the scenes from the photo shoot with our dear friends Rob and Tiff Jensen. We'd like to introduce them. We've had a long association with them and have worked in a good number of projects at Old Tucson Studios with them, and we are just tickled to have them here with us. So
we're very excited about it.
Thank you. So are we.
Well, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We're all excited, as you can see. And they met our dog today for the first time, and Coosa was excited, so that's very exciting.
And we share the same hair. So.
They have the same.
Actually, they do. Rob and Coosa, our dog. Okay, moving right along. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, who you are, what you do.
Sure. Well, we're both in the entertainment industry. Both spent many years at Old Tucson. Tiff, of course, was in charge of all the musical entertainment out there in the wardrobe department. I handled the film department and all the stunt guys. So we had a good time for many years, and of course, recent changes. We're no longer there, but maybe something will change in the future. We're hopeful. We'll wait and see. Time will tell. But we're performers and do a lot of different things. Why don't you go ahead and talk about your musical plays you've been doing?
I was just Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd, and was in Christmas Carol at Arts Express, which is a great organization in Tucson, and just trying to find different fun things while COVID is happening.
Yes.
There is that, yes.
Yes.
But I must say, having seen your entertainment at Old Tucson that you put together and were such a part of it is fantastic.
amazing,
So, we are looking forward to seeing what you're doing next. And Mrs. Lovett as Sweeney Todd, I'm sorry we missed that one.
Yeah, we would have loved to see
That was fun.
Stay away from the razors. That's
I will.
just
No
not
razors.
for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us as we continue on with this episode, and thank you so much for coming down to our studio from
Thank you for
Tucson.
having
We're so
us.
excited to have you
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah, and you're gonna, as Jenna has said, you're gonna see some of these finished photos a bit later, and you'll see how good looking they are, not only like this, but like that.
That's right.
Oh, Lord.
All right, and now we're going to get ready to do this photo shoot. So we've got your costumes here. Awesome.
That's mine? Oh, that's yours.
No.
I wasn't sure.
Here you go, Rob. I'm going to have you guys get into costume, and then we'll shoot this thing.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
is. Yeah.
And action. Fantastic. Oh, wonderful. Hold that. Bring the gun down a little bit. Love it.
Yep, and Tiffany, the expression on your face is exactly how we feel seeing Rob. How we all feel seeing Rob talk that good.
I liked her poses. I'm trying to emulate. You know, I enjoyed what I saw, and there's nothing wrong with that, Craig.
I appreciate that, honey.
I stand corrected. Well, that was fun. Thank you, Rob and Tiff. And now it's time for this morning's quotes, because once again, it's quotes in the morning. Jenna doesn't know the quotes before I read them, so this will be new to you and new to her, although some of you may have heard some of these quotes before. This one is attributed to Theodore Roosevelt. When you're at the end of your rope, tie a knot and hold on. Again, you know, we know these are fairly apparent, a lot of them, but what do you think of that? I ask what she thinks and then I'm going to talk, but when you're at the end of your rope, I mean, Theodore Roosevelt was dealing with some world-changing events, so he's talking about big picture, but there's also medium picture and small picture, and I know some days I shouldn't feel like I'm at the end of my rope.
We have all been there, all of us. Right. At some point or another in life, we've been at the end of our rope.
Right, and some ways bigger, some ways smaller, but it's always a good, whether it's big or small, tie a knot and hold on. And then our second and last quote for this morning is Ralph Waldo Emerson, who says, "This new day is too dear, with its hopes and invitations, to waste a moment on the yesterdays."
Oh, I love that.
I'm not even going to say anything about that.
Well, that's our show for today, folks. And on the next episode, next week, we're going to be showing you the results of the photo shoot that we just did. Coosa's done. She's like, I'm done.
Well, if that's the show for today, goodbye.
But next week, we're going to show you the results of the photo shoot that we did with Rob and Tiff. And I think we're going to have some really awesome photos.
Oh, I know we will. I always look forward to seeing the results because Jenna is the editing and graphic design, graphic arts genius on these photos.
Well, and Rob and Tiff were amazing models. They killed it.
So we all can't wait. You can't wait. Join us next Tuesday, 10 minutes at 10 a.m. So that's 10-10 Tuesdays. You can remember that.
That's right. And again, our social media links are below. So if you want to follow us on those pages, that would be wonderful.
Coosa thinks that'd be wonderful too, and she's waving goodbye to you with her tail. Have a great week. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, oh my gosh. Don't really hit him though. How here's a serious question. How sweet are you two? You're pretty sweet.
I actually can't have a lot of sugar because I'm sweet enough already.
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, thank you, Tiff. That's how I feel.
I only use a little bit of your sweet creamer because
true.
Too much, it gets out of control.
You're out of control.